Hello, I'm Kat, joined by Dave, Geo. Welcome to the 97th episode of Unifying Force. How is everybody?
I am doing well. It feels like, and actually it kind of has been, absolutely forever since we've all been here together live.
It has been. It's our last live show was July 13th because Dave here went to a con in North Carolina, I think, and then he went to a con in Texas.
Indeed. I have been on many of the con circuits here lately. I was at GalaxyCon Raleigh first, which is kind of my hometown con. Is I tend to go at least 3 of the 4 days, which I think I did this time. And it was a good con, very nice. A lot of cool paneling and stuff that I went there. Got to see the incomparable Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo is always amazing, and I think the word is getting out on the man. Is the last time I went to a panel with him there, very few people in the room. I think I was like 3rd or 4th row back, and then there was just a smattering of people. This time he was absolutely 100% jam packed full, standing room only. So
you should show him the other really cool thing you got at GalaxyCon Raleigh. The can.
Oh,
that is awesome. You got to show the audience this.
I will show the audience the thing. I've been waiting on this a while. Okay, like many people comment, most things back here are Star Wars or Star Wars adjacent. This has zero to do with Star Wars whatsoever. But you have to do it. Is I have the Barbasol can right there, signed by Wayne Knight. He got a quote on it there too. It says, "I've got an 18-minute window." And he commented on it. He signs these all the time. People have replicas made. I'm not going to take it apart right now, but this has the like little dinosaur inserts and stuff in there. Nightmare to get through security, right? But most of them have. There's like this big white window or something. Big white part of the graphic. And I purposely got one that did not have that, just, for the extra room for the signing in white. But yeah, he signs them. There was a guy, a little bit behind me that our friend, Dave Lewis saw that had one of those little rolly wagon things, full of Barbasol cans and like mini mail trucks getting him to sign for Nedry and for Newman.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I think Jurassic Park is so embedded in the public consciousness in the mainstream as well as in the fandoms, and I think it's great to have that mass appeal because I feel with the onboarding of so much media,
Absolutely indeed.
Yeah, no, Lex got it. Yeah, I think it's from a time when blockbusters were truly kind of global in a way, and I feel like everyone might have gone to see it, or you try and catch it on video as soon as it's available. Whereas now there's so many franchises and IPs and so many ways of accessing content TV, film, movies that not everybody sees the same things anymore. But I think Jurassic Park is one of those multi-generational blockbusters, as well as, in my opinion, being one of the best films ever made. So
It is.
Absolutely agreed. I think this is really, I think you might have hit on something that might be a future topic for us, is such cross fandom appeal. Like Jurassic Park, I mean, they may have like their own fandom, Jurassic Park fandom, but I can't think of a particular fandom that doesn't like Jurassic Park. You know, it's like, okay, you've got your Star Wars people and your Star Trek people, and sometimes those crossover, sometimes those will not meet ever in your life. But yeah, back there. But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I mean, I think Jurassic Park is like really relatively universal.
It is. I remember being crushed when I found out that they were retheming the Jurassic Park ride to Jurassic World because they added a bunch of digital screens and a lot more concrete and stuff. And it's like, no, you need like the appeal is seeing it like live right there. That first movie, it's like, yeah, it's weird because it's a classic B movie script to a T. Even the characters aren't really that layered, but because it's Spielberg, it has this A grade quality to it, you know. And that's that Barbasol Kent thing you guys signed is so cool. That's something on my bucket list.
I mean, yes.
That's my favorite scene in the whole franchise when he meets the Dilophosaurus and gets picked off.
Oh yeah. Well, and you talk about classic B movie is I mean, whether they knew, they didn't know, what was that? The leave it open for a sequel right there. Even though in fact that was not part of the sequel.
No.
You knew right there that, oh no, the embryos sequel.
Yeah, that was and of course they did feel the need to bring the Barbasol can back in the 6th movie. Never mind how Dodson got a hold of it and he put it on his shelf because that was their way of reminding the audience of who this character was. But so that was fun. So we do have some Star Wars news, a few actually Star Wars news to cover real quick. One is that apparently the Rogue Squadron movie by Patty Jenkins is back on. That news broke the other day because she did say like some months ago that she still owed them a script, and now because I think this has a lot to do with Tony Gilroy mentioning that Disney executives told him that the age of spending hundreds of millions on streaming shows was over because they just weren't making enough money. And so, get Star Wars back in the movie theaters. And we theorized that the Starfighter movie was like a another attempt to revamp Rogue Squadron, but apparently no, Rogue Squadron is back on. So I hope that that pans out because you can have a bad day at the office. Yeah, she did Wonder Woman 84. We know it wasn't a very good movie.
That was a bad.
Every director's entitled to a bad movie, and she seemed pretty passionate about the Rogue Squadron idea. And I think it could still be a good movie and fun to visit.
Well, and you really have, I think we've built even more since that was announced, characters that could be. Mm-hmm. The Carson Teva character would be just perfection for that movie.
If depending on what timeline it is, because is it still called Rogue?
Also true.
I don't know, because when I heard Rogue Squadron, I just think, Rebel Alliance time period. But maybe it could be New Republic. We'll see. You
could. I mean, there could be the continuation of the Rogue Squadron in New Republic. The hurdle that I see if you're going to do it in a classic original trilogy timeline, or even pre-original trilogy like a Rogue One timeline, is that's been hit a lot. You would have to heavily CG those guys. We talked about Rebel ScumCon earlier. A lot of those guys were at Rebel ScumCon, and while many of them would be completely open to another Star Wars project, I think you called Dennis Lawson and he's on a plane and in a cockpit. He's like, let's go.
Maybe. He didn't seem too enthused on going back in the cockpit for Force Awakens, just why he passed on it.
Well,
potentially. You know,
Okay, well, you talk to him in person, and he seems enthusiastic about it. You'll see actually on the channel coming up, we have we did a Rebel ScumCon interview. There's a whole series of Rebel ScumCon interviews that Mark Von Olin did that we many of us filmed, and we hit as many of the guests at the con as humanly possible, and we had a really good one with Dennis Lawson. And also David Ankrum, the voice of Wedge. So either of them seem to be enthusiastic about another project. But again, would they be enthusiastic on what that would take, which is sitting in the cockpit with little dots, all de-aging dots, where they're going to have to CGI the whole shabam? Yeah, I don't know about that.
And I see people in the chat aren't enthused about the idea of a Rogue Squadron movie.
Again, yes, Wonder Woman 84. I love the original Wonder Woman, and again, so many times we talk about on this show, and I want to know how much of that train wreck and fiasco was Patty Jenkins' fault, or B, was she saddled with the notion of, no, we have to figure out a way to bring Chris Pine back from the dead, which was the biggest problem with that.
Naladoc also suggests that we need to move 150 plus years into the future, away from everything, and no de-aging nonsense.
Well, I think that's the Starfighter deal, right? The Starfighter, I don't know if it's 150 years in the future, but it's supposed to be all new characters, the whole new shabam. It's not supposed to be any of the characters that we have. So that's allegedly the point.
What do you think, Gio, about the Rogue Squadron being back on board?
Well, firstly, this is kind of the first I've heard of it. So I'm wondering, like, which outlet broke it, and is it something that is a reliable one?
Can we believe it?
Because I feel like there's a lot of potential love for the film just by virtue of the title and the allusion to a fantastic series of video games, a best-selling book series, it's telling stories that spread into the expanded universe, which we of course know it's not, officially canon now, but bringing those stories back or bringing elements of them back would, I think, be richly rewarding to people who have that affection for those novels. And my experience with it is actually from the video games, and I think they're absolutely incredible. Certainly Rogue Leader, which was on the Nintendo GameCube, I think is one of the definitive Star Wars experiences in that medium, in video games. It's absolutely incredible. And they did a follow-up called Rebel Strike, which brought in a cooperative version of the Rogue Leader game, which was effectively taking you through all the big moments of the original trilogy. And it's really fun. So if you can capture, just a fraction of that into a feature film, that would be fantastic. And I think we know that the idea with...
According to Naladoc, the news was broken by BBC 7. I'm not familiar with the reliability of BBC 7, but BBC, I would assume it's reliable.
That's not even one of the radio stations or channels, so I'm very hazy on that one.
Well, he said it was a joke. Never mind. I can't, trying to figure out what it doesn't read like a joke. I wouldn't be surprised. They have all sorts of things like NBC 1, NBC 2.
That is why Gio's face just went like, BBC 7?
It probably is. Let me go check which site it is. I'm pretty sure it was
come on. We have 3 channels.
Yeah. They struggled with BBC 3 for a while. It went internet only for a bit before there was kind of uproar, because they had a lot of kind of younger generational content, TV shows, soaps, comedies that were a completely different demographic to the typical BBC programming. So, all right, fine. If you're making BBC numbers up all the time, then I'm going to just start picking CBS 13, all right?
We have that, though. See, we're ridiculous with our TV channels. You can just make up numbers, and you're going to hit one.
Oh, okay. Is that
we
kind
have
of
CBS
region-based?
We have Fox 50, CBS 13, 14. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty crazy.
Just depending on your market and what part of the country that you would be in. But yeah, a Rogue Squadron could do it. I mean, they could completely go with the plot of the novels and video games, which is, of course, for those of you who may be less familiar with that kind of EU content, really, I guess, which is right now, it's Wedge Antilles rebuilds the legendary Rogue Squadron after the Battle of Endor, to help the New Republic defeat the Imperial remains. And I agree with you. If you're going with that plot, no de-aging nonsense, is because you're going to need these guys to be up and ready and running around and doing things that, where while the literal de-aging of Harrison Ford's face in the last movie worked, you could still see that was old man Harrison when he goes to walking around. And you're like, oh, kind of ruins it. So I think we would need to completely cast new actors. You can do it this way. We've talked about this for a long time. I just thought you could have Dennis Lawson as old man Wedge, or his current age Wedge, like talking about this. Flash it back. Do like the Calrissian Chronicles or something. And that kind of thing, but or use him as some other character or whatever to pop in, but not as don't use the original trilogy guys. As have them all, put all of them in a bar somewhere telling stories, and
yeah.
But you're gonna need younger actors to really do the kind of action that would make that a hit.
Yeah, it would have to be, because that would be an easy home run too if you did like a simple Rogue Squadron like tamed movie, and the fact that the only thing to come up with, and by the time that next movie hits 6.5 years as a sequel to a TV show, is not very promising.
No, take Top Gun, put in X-Wing.
Yeah,
yeah. On paper, it's
Top
so
Gun
easy.
theme.
Yeah, you're right, Gio, because on paper it should be pretty easy.
Yeah,
basic mission plot.
I mean,
just take a few elements, and
in all honesty, and I'm not saying that this would be the appropriate thing, the right thing, or the most amazing thing on the planet. You put Miles Teller in it, and you have it.
Other Star Wars news is that we lost Terrence Stamp last week.
We did.
Played Supreme Chancellor Valorum, better known probably also as a General Zod. Yeah, there's a whole lineup of iconic characters, great characters he's played over the years.
And regrettably not Chancellor Valorum listed among them. I don't know that that's like one of his stand out.
It's definitely not. I mean, the Valorum role is a very stiff role. He didn't really have. He said the only reason he accepted it because he looked forward to having a scene with Natalie Portman because he was really impressed with her in Leon the Professional, and he was disappointed when he got there and George said, "Oh, she couldn't be here," so they did like a filming their halves of the scene with doubles or whatever. So he wasn't really enthused with that, and so he didn't really speak fondly on his time in Star Wars, but he's still remembered.
But absolutely, again, cross-franchise, iconic. I mean, look at this list again. I don't even
some
know
of those.
What's that?
Yeah, like I guess we could try and talk through some of these images, some of which are not familiar to me at all.
Many of which are not familiar to me. I've got two right here.
Yeah,
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Zod.
Which that's again one of those on the list of we are going to have to accost each other for movies we haven't seen. I've never seen Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I've heard things, and I heard a lot about his amazing performance in it when upon his death. But movie I've never seen.
Yeah,
it is quite good. You would like it. Yes, no, Dog Bernadette. Valorum is close. Yes, he was very great in that film. But yeah, he's got a long list of stuff with on screen and stage.
But yeah, you've got the two that hit me are, of course, General Zod. I am a huge original trilogy Superman fan. And then that is him playing the villain who escapes my name right now, whose name escapes me right now. The main villain in Star Trek Generations.
Right.
That was really the and I don't care what you people are like. I enjoyed Star Trek Generations and thought that was a fitting way to both bring back William Shatner and get rid of William Shatner.
Okay, I see that the top left picture is him in an adventure film called Billy Budd from 1962.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I think he won tons of awards for that.
Yeah, that was one that seemed to feature quite high up in some of the
tributes. The one right below it and in the bottom right might be either from The Collector or Far From the Madding Crowd, maybe. He's in a lot of stuff in the 60s. And
so Best Supporting Actor, nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Billy Budd for an Academy Award in 1962. In many different awards, he won many awards.
Oh yeah, he won the
Best Leading Actor, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
He won the Best Lead Actor at the Cannes Festival for The Collector. But he was in other pop culture movies that we're familiar with, like Young Guns, Phantom Menace, Haunted Mansion, the original Haunted Mansion from 2003, Elektra from 2005, Wanted, Get Smart, Yes Man, Valkyrie, Big Eyes. His last performance was the Edgar Wright film Last Night in Soho 4 years ago. So I guess he retired because it says that was not just his last film performance, but last on stage as well. So yeah, great, phenomenal actor. You should go through his resume if you haven't already.
And came up in a huge period in the 60s of British actors, a great tradition. I think he was shared a house, was the roommate of Michael Caine for a long time during that period where just the British explosion of great acters.
You were thinking of
Wall Street. See, there you go.
You were thinking of Malcolm McDowell in Generations.
Well, that looked exactly like him in that picture.
He does look like him, but that is not Terrence Stamp, I'm afraid.
Dang it. Okay. Well, I was giving him a credit where it was.
But yes. Oh, welcome to Thrawn Kill. Yes, Wall Street. That's another great one. So yes, Terrence Stamp, a long life, well lived, 87 years old, will be missed.
Yeah, he definitely made an impact in a lot of films across a huge period of time.
A lot of films, huge period of time, and really, again, I'm the Superman fan. I learned things beyond there that he continued General Zod over and over and over again. As he returned as Zod in many other places, like they put him back in the Richard Donner cut, but he had done things on BBC Radio. There's a Superman on Trial. He flipped the script, and he was the voice of Jor-El in Smallville.
Yeah.
So is like, wow, it's a challenging dual roles. I am evil Kryptonian. Oh, and now I am the father of all Kryptonian. So
we see that actors do that thing sometimes. Like Toby Stevens played the villain in the Bond film Die Another Day, but he actually is credited with playing Bond longer than any other actor, which he does in the radio theater dramas and the audiobooks. And it's like, so sometimes you see weird things like that. It's just kind of, flies it back up.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's doing that with Robert Downey Jr.
I don't even want to get into. I don't know what Marvel is doing. Marvel has lost their ever-loving mind.
Yeah, just a
like
little modern day example.
The only thing I'll say on that is, if you know you have enough of a problem that you need to reach back to the nostalgia thing with the original X-Men and stuff, then you should have killed the multiverse last year in Deadpool and Wolverine when you had the opportunity to do so. Don't waste 2 Avengers movies to do it, because Avengers is your pristine brand.
Yes.
Those are your flagship movies. Don't taint them with a bunch of multiverse crap that nobody even likes anyway. So they may make a lot of money, but I think it's going to do more damage than good.
Isn't there a literal comic called
Quite
Deadpool
likely.
Kills the Marvel Universe, which
There
just
is.
could have done the entire thing. Do that, they're done. The real conversation in entertainment at the moment. Okay, what do you think the real conversation is?
Well, there's 2 things. One, we could do a brief opinions on Fantastic Four, and then there's Alien Earth, which are the 2. I guess Norman Reedus' name is Son Mingus. Is that the new topic that's going on?
Oh,
but yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic Four.
Celebrities have been out of their mind naming their children forever.
Yeah, it's part of the territory, it seems.
I was watching Celebrity Family Feud the other night with David Arquette and Coco.
I think the word one I heard was, I can't remember the actress's name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but she named her son Audio Science. Yeah, that's going to be changed. Anyway, moving on. Fantastic Four, Gio, did you see it? What did you think?
I did see it. I thought it was pretty great. It felt quite fresh, being in a different era completely, and it looked very apt and fitting. The whole retro future style, but in the 1960s, was very convincing, and I think the performances were largely pretty good. The actual final act, I think, was started, I feel, to lose itself a bit, as we've seen many, many times with lots of superhero films, lots of modern day action movies, to be honest. But I think for the most part, there was heart and soul in it. So that would be my quick summary. But happy to talk more. What did you think,
Dave?
I super enjoyed it. Which was refreshing, because that was the first movie that I saw after the travesty that was the Gunn Superman. And the retro futurism was fun. Their costuming was fun. Now let me get this down, that I didn't dislike the first 2. Okay. I thought at the time of, kind of the campy superhero film things that we were in at that point, Michael Chiklis as the Thing, damn good. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, very fitting. Yeah. I thought that Reed Richards and that Sue Storm, not horribly bad. Having said this on this, I mean, some of the Fantastic Four fandom, I can see how you're going to get up in arms. I'm familiar with the Fantastic Four from reading a lot of the 70s and 80s kind of stuff. But is Jessica Alba played a great Sue Storm. This Sue Storm I did not think was bad at all. I think that so much of the movie ended up, I'm not going to give spoilers on this yet, ended up dependent upon her. But there were some things that they did with Galactus and with Franklin and with things that Fantastic Four fans are going to kind of go, really? We're doing that? But it was enjoyable. It was fun. It had, comic book moments here, there, and to my knowledge, did not really step on and destroy the characters, completely change them while presenting them in a kind of nice, fresh kind of way. Like that movie that shall not be named.
that movie that shall not be named dropped on digital 9 days ago, so you can watch it, rent it, and buy it and watch it whenever you want, Dave.
Yeah. I've seen that. Now, I will tell you, and for people who are like, okay, it's the grumpy old man, it's the again, it's like, no, this is where all of that has become. No. This is my level of trying to give it a fair shot. I had to go down and source this because my theater did not give this out. This is the official IMAX, filmed in IMAX comics adaptation. And I went and tracked it down so I can read that and see how it plays. Does the adaptation play better than it did in real life? I don't know that it's going to, because my problems weren't necessarily with the performances. I was concerned very much about Corin Sweat, but I think he played what was written for him reasonably well.
And for more on that, you can refer to our previous episode. Dave yells at cloud. Old man yells at cloud.
You can go back there and check out right there. It was our Sunday, July 13th, and I think we replayed that episode as well.
We did.
The next week just to see it. So you can go check that one out, and there is the old man yelling at clouds right there.
Yeah, I thought the opening sequence, the montage in Fantastic Four, was the best scene in the movie. It was so fun and refreshing and new and exciting. And I get that you don't want to do the origin again, but it's like Paul Walter Hauser steals every scene that he's in as Mole Man. He's just fantastic, just chewing up the scenery. But when you get to the Galactus plot, it's a lot of doom and gloom and kind of depressing and over serious. And Mr. Fantastic is, super worried to doom and gloom through most of the movie. And it's like, yeah, I get that everybody wanted to see a comic accurate Galactus, but it's kind of like when in the original Infinity War comic, the reason Thanos wants to kill half the universe is because he's in love with Lady Death and wants to impress her.
Yeah.
Well, they knew that wouldn't fly in the movie, so they had to layer it and come up with something else. Well, in this movie, they didn't really change Galactus's motivation. So I just want to eat your planet because I'm hungry, and they don't really give you anything on his origin. So it felt very one-dimensional, and they kind of nerfed Galactus and his powers quite a bit in the finale. He was kind of almost like a giant kaiju Godzilla monster, kind of, but didn't even have as much powers as Godzilla would have. He didn't have shoot lasers out of his eyes or anything like that. But Ralph Ineson was really good in that role. I just felt that even with the retro future, which looked neat, it just kind of the movie kind of left me cold. It didn't do much for me, and I would have loved it if they had. Again, they're in such a race to get them to the Avengers movie that they're skipping over potentially fun stories you could tell with this group, because the cast, I thought, for the most part, was fine.
There wasn't a lot of stretchiness, the fun that's part of the fun of Mr. Fantastic is just the ridiculousness of the stretching.
Oh, goodbye, Nala Doc. Just unload grocery bags from the car. But enjoy your conversation about Mingus Reedus. I'll catch it on
we'll be sure to put that on the list for you.
So after a month, after 5 weekends in release, Fantastic Four has just crossed 490 million, coming off a budget of over 200. That's not great. And that was another big piece of Marvel news that came out this past week, that they're abandoning Georgia, where they've had a massive hub there for the last 10 years, and they're all going to the UK because it's not so much that it's so expensive. It's that, you have your overhead costs, and then you have the creative budget, and they keep throwing stupid money at the creative budget, and it's like the old saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention. Every director will tell you that when they have less to work with, they're forced to be more creative, and you get better results. But they're throwing so many hundreds of millions at the CG budgets and all that kind of stuff, that the idea that they're complaining about the overhead costs that we have to leave, it's like, really? It's like, that's not your problem, Kevin Feige even invited Gareth Edwards over to Marvel Studios apparently last month to ask him about, how did you keep the budget of the creator down to just $80 million because it looked so good. And he's like, well, we had a skeleton crew, we filmed overseas, and we used practical effects when possible. And the takeaway isn't that they should fire everybody to have smaller crews. It's that break up these massive crews and have them work on multiple projects. So that way, instead of having all this massive crew with this one massive budget for one movie, you could have a bunch of moderately budgeted, have like 5 or 6 movies so you can maximize your return on investment. But yeah, it's like, oh, we want to save money on overhead. It's like, no, you need to stop throwing hundreds of millions at the stupid money budget, as I call it. And that's why Feige was also hesitant to bring back the Russo brothers, because they notoriously go way over budget on their movies. Like their god awful Electric State for Netflix cost $300 million, which I'm just, how do the shareholders at Netflix tolerate that type? I have no idea. So yeah, I just wanted more from F4. They're taking the wrong lesson from it. Necessity is a mother of invention, and get back to creativity.
Well, okay, I'll get onto that, because here comes old man yelling at clouds. Is they continue to put PR on Superman, on how well it did and how well it's doing months out after the fact. They just, there are certain sites that continue every, 10 or 15 million that it makes. Oh, Superman has passed, 400 million. Superman has passed 415 million. Superman has passed $445 million at the global
now.
Box office. And yeah, I think it's 600 million. And but they're touting it. People keep going back and forth and back and forth. It's like, oh, well, yeah, we're on a $225 million budget. That's great. But then others are saying that's still not the global, humongous, amazing success that we wanted it to be, because of alleged media PR budgets, which they give as $100 million, which I do not believe, based on how much other films have said were spent on their advertising budgets and how much media was put out on them, that being way less than what was put out on the Superman.
Well, James Gunn has refuted some of those numbers, saying there's no way Warner Brothers would have greenlit the first movie in a new franchise if it needed to make 700 just to be a mild success. But they don't do that. So they get tax credits back. They get the promotional tie-ins, trims the budget further. But again, because for some reason Hollywood studios are allowed to be absolutely secret about their finances, which makes no sense. It's like, we're not allowed to do that if we run our own businesses. It's like, why do banks keep giving loans to studios when they're always in massive debt? But you people like you and me want to get along. We got to move Earth and the stars to be able to prove that we're capable of paying it back. But studios, they don't have to do that. It's just it's ridiculous. And so yeah, but he won't. But even when James Gunn refuted that, he wouldn't give the actual numbers either. So I thought, so who knows where the actual break-even point was? And I think the reason they dumped it on streaming or digital rental and purchase within a month was because it was slowing down enough in theaters that it's like, well, we don't want to spend more money marketing a home media release, so let's just get it out there now. And it's going to be on Blu-ray and 4K on September 23rd. So, which means it's going to be on HBO Max probably around Thanksgiving time or so.
Yeah.
Which is a ridiculously quick turnaround time for a movie that is supposedly a major success. Like, you didn't see Oppenheimer get dumped on streaming within a month of its, release.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
It's a whole level of things. And then you've got a lot of people, and who knows the motivations of internet keyboard commandos. I've been seeing a lot of Man of Steel versus Gunn Superman side by side graphics,
Oh, you're gonna have the Zack Snyder sycophantic insane army will always be there trying to trash everything else DC does, simply because they're still bitter about the fact that but it's like, it was the old guard at Warner Brothers who railroaded Zack Snyder, so the new people there weren't even the ones who made that decision. So it's completely asinine for them to still be pissed off at the new regime, which had nothing to do with that. So again, the idiocy of the keyboard warriors, as you say.
Yeah, it's just like
there's no logic behind their behavior, so it's just gonna
chirping
away.
It's because great is Snyder made a film, it was that film. Gunn made a film, it was this film. And even though I didn't like it, I didn't love and fanboy and amaze in the Snyder. And I'm one of the ones who I purchased HBO Max to see the Snyder cut. Okay, that was the entire reason that I went out and bought that streaming service, was I wanted to see the Snyder Cut, and I saw the Snyder Cut, and I was like, meh.
Yeah.
It's like,
granted, the other cut wasn't good either. But
I really think here's my take on the level of the Snyder Cut is you did so much of that whole Batman versus Superman and that whole level of and you drew so much of it allegedly from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Why the hell didn't y'all just give it to Frank Miller? It's like, if you're gonna do, like, why didn't he write the screenplay for that, or why didn't he have a shot at directing? I mean, and we've seen Sin City and how that turned out, and that's some people love it, some people hate it, but it was at least, what's that?
First one was great. Second one was okay, but I mean, the second one still had the same qualities, just whether or not you like the stories. But they also made up a story for the second one, which was odd, instead of just sourcing from one of the other Frank Miller stories, and I'm not sure what the thinking was behind that, but I like both those films.
Again, how that goes. Well, I mean, I like the style and the fact that it was a new take, and it was a really kind of interesting way to make Frank Miller's graphic novel style into film. And it's like, we could use some interesting takes on how to take good quality comic book source material and put it into a film. That Fantastic Four in any of the Avengers Marvel stuff going forward has that. Okay, Avengers Doomsday, you have stories that you can bring together the entire Marvel universe. Where what is the story where they put them all on the big spaceship arena thing?
In Battle World.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing for Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, I think, will be that sort
of but are they going to adapt it well? Who knows? Part of the problem that people had with Galactus, and the comics have struggled with this for a long time too, is Galactus. How do you portray Galactus? There are so many different Galactuses. There's the Galactus that's the size of the Statue of Liberty. There's the Galactus that is literally 10 times the size of the planet, who could literally eat the planet in bites. But you can't. How do you effectively show and or battle him in a terrestrial way, the way the Fantastic Four did? You can't. So he's been a muddied up character for a long time, as you have to choose which versions and how and what you're going to do. And I thought really the second original Fantastic Four movie handled that in a reasonable way, which made Galactus the villain, but the Silver Surfer as his herald was the way that you could interact and bring that character to Earth.
Yeah, I didn't like the Silver Surfer in this one. I thought she was too human. And I get that part plays into the origins, but it's like Silver Surfer always seemed like it's humanoid, but it seems almost ethereal, like it's this other being, something off about it, something alien about it, and not the fact that it's silver, just the way that it talks and things. Whereas this was just too much human. It's like
they're always talking about the power cosmic, and he's talking in like riddles and using humongous, ridiculously big words. Well, what you were talking about with they scrapped the Lady Death and the real cosmic ramifications of Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, and really simplified it, commercialized it, slapped it on a lunchbox.
Well, I think they also, the version they came up with the movies made a deeper, more effective character than if you had just said, "Oh, I'm in love with this random character, and so I'm going to kill everybody." Because that was my problem with Galactus, because they don't really give you the only thing he mentions is that a long time ago I used to be a regular man like you, but now I'm doing this, and he doesn't really explain how he got from there to there. And it's like, well, that'd be interesting to kind of shed some light on that, to give some semblance of character to him or some depth, but there just wasn't. He was just, "I'm here to eat your planet, deal with it." And it's like, okay. Yeah, it's like I didn't And the world was also taking place in a more innocent world. Like the idea that like Sue can go outside and give a speech and calm the entire planet. When it's like, no, lady, I'm sorry, but the kid is really the right choice to make here.
The parts of it that disturbed me and that I understood too were still like the political commentary on how far our society has gone. And I'm not saying that this wouldn't happen, because it probably would, but you're trying to have this kind of, fun movie, and the bad guys for a lot of it's not even Galactus, it's the general public of the world, which are, why don't we just give him the baby? How far down have we come as a society when it's just like, that's even a thing? I hope better for humanity. It's the same thing in Superman, is where the general public is just like, oh, he's an alien, get him off there, whatever. And that's, and I'm not talking about just about guns Superman. I'm talking about like Snyder Superman too, to where they're like, oh, this alien's here. There's this guy that's been saving the world and doing whatever, but oh, he's an alien, and that alien wants him. Give him up. It's like,
I actually think there's more nuance to that portrayal of Superman in Man of Steel and in Batman versus Superman. The kind of question on what is his purpose on Earth, not just can we inherently trust someone who's from another world, but what does it mean for humanity to have someone or something that can interfere in how the world is run or how things proceed? At least, I guess Batman vs Superman felt very America-centric, but then using the kind of news montages of like Neil deGrasse Tyson discussing the ethics of what it means to have someone with this kind of godly power, I think added some depth to it. And I do think that kind of discussion could be applied to the kind of ethical quandary, if you want to call it that, even though it's kind of a no-brainer, the baby versus the rest of humanity. But I think there could have been a little bit more nuance in that, and the Fantastic Four, the First Steps film, didn't really entertain that. It just seemed to be, as Kat said, resolved by a single speech that Sue gave, and that kind of calmed everyone down. And if we think of these films as, you have to look at the context in which the time they're released. They could have been a little bit more discussed or alluded to, if not like made very apparent, that there's this kind of dilemma or conflict about what is most right to do and what is least harmful to the most people. And the film just kind of sidestepped that completely, and went for the primary storyline, which is just how will they confront and defeat Galactus. That's pretty much the entire film. After like the first hour was just that. And I'm glad the film didn't drag on, because that's a huge issue that a lot of films do have nowadays. Like 2 hours, 50 minutes for no reason. And at least this Fantastic Four had reasonable pacing, versus the first iteration of The Rise of the Silver Surfer, the second Fantastic Four film from 2007. That was really short. That was like 79, 80 minutes. And they blitzed through that without really giving too much room for the characters to interact. So I think this version at least had more of the Marvel's first family feel to it, which was kind of hurried through in previous versions. But I do agree about the kind of the impact that Galactus had was very one-dimensional. And if we do compare it to the other massive supervillain of almost that power scale that we've had, which is Thanos, they were able, as a studio and as a screenplay, to create a much more compelling reason and motivation behind Thanos in the MCU versus what I would say is in the Infinity War comic, which is just, he's trying to impress a lady. That's ultimately it.
But it's also the Infinity War comic is very ethereal, very like all. It's
far out.
It's far out and down the road to. Like, you would have had to do what they did with Phase 1, which is we should have gotten like a Lady Death movie or something like before to explain the character and the thing. And I mean, I think knowing that, because Feige's got the plan, and Fantastic Four has been on the schedule for a long time. I think there should have been more hints at Galactus in other MCU properties, to just kind of build that in, as they built Thanos in for years. And I'm not saying you necessarily needed to do the exact same thing with, there's a cut scene in every single one, or there's like an end credit scene in every single one teasing Galactus, but there could have been a hint at something, like even literally Thanos alluding to a power much higher than him. Not that he would have said that Galactus is more powerful than him, because Thanos is ego, but somebody else.
Yeah.
So now we move on to Alien Earth, the long anticipated reboot, or whatever you want to call it, by Noah Hawley of Fargo and Legion. I'm like, okay, I'll trust in Noah Hawley to watch this. And, it's not exactly a slow-paced show, but it's like we're 3 hours into it, and it doesn't feel like much has progressed. Like, if this were a movie, you probably would have gotten what's been accomplished so far in maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And because it's long-form TV, it's taking so far 3 hours, and some of the stuff is interesting. Like, we have the Weyland-Yutani research vessel, and it's strongly implied that the cyborg aboard sabotaged the vessel and it crashed. And now you have a rival corporation on Earth is going in as a rescue mission to salvage and steal whatever's aboard the craft. And with them, they have these new breed of robots who they took terminally ill children and they uploaded their consciousness into the robots. And as far as the parents are concerned, the kids died, they had funerals and all that, and the kids have to keep secret the fact that they're still around. It's very interesting, but it's like, okay, these are two separate ideas you have here. And, there's a xenomorph on board the crashed ship, okay, wreaking havoc. But, and there's a lot of Peter Pan analogies, like the kids kind of name themselves after the Lost Boys, and the first one they made, the girl names herself Wendy, and the founder of this tech company which created these robots is a very young, arrogant, egotistical tech billionaire walking around in his pajamas all the time, very immature. It's like, okay, you're clearly the Peter Pan stand-in. And they have a secret island where they do all these tests that's called Neverland Island.
Peter Pan stand-in. I thought he was playing Mr. Beast.
Yeah, and then pretty much. And then there's another character named themselves Smee. I don't know who the Captain Hook stand-in is going to be. They haven't gotten that far yet. I like Timothy Oliphant's character, Kirsch. She's like an android who kind of sort of like the chaperone to all these, these kid robots or whatever. But it's like, okay, we're moving along, but I couldn't picture myself necessarily even rewatching the show, because again, we're 3 hours into it, and it's typical Carnage type stuff. But does it need to be long form TV format? Does it need to be moving? The story you need to be progressing as slowly as it is? I don't know. And they arguably skipped the most important thing, which is, Hawley says they were going to distance themselves from Prometheus and Covenant. Okay, well then you have to tell us how they found LV-426 to retrieve these aliens in the first place, and they don't, because the series starts where the research vessel from Weyland-Yutani has just arrived back at Earth after a 65-year mission to collect alien specimens from all sorts of planets. And it's like, well, isn't the whole point of adding this to the lore is to fill in that last missing gap as to how they found these creatures to begin with, especially now that you're trying to ignore the events of Prometheus and Covenant, which in the timeline didn't occur too far in the past. But I don't know. I'll stick with it because, again, in Hawley I trust, but I'm not over the moon itching for the very next episode. And it's very much unfolding, not in real time per se, but it's like the last two episodes all take place on pretty much the same day. So it's kind of, I feel that this whole show is going to take place over a very short amount of time. But it's okay. So I'll stick with it.
So I haven't seen episode 3 yet. I've only seen the first 2. And I haven't seen episode 3 because I haven't been in a huge super hurry to see episode 3. You know what I'm saying? I've enjoyed, I think, more of some of the behind the scenes stuff that I've seen on YouTube and TikTok and different places about how practical they're being. Like, they have animatronic aliens that do some of the close-up acting and stuff. And I've been a lot more impressed with that and you can kind of see some of that in the look and feel of it. It is the practical works. The CG sometimes just gets
Yeah, so Xenomorph kind of looked at certain times a little bit wonky.
And but I think I agree a lot with you. Is I am far more invested in the children becoming the androids as opposed to the Xenomorph plot. And I mean, there's the casual mixing of it is like, okay, you've got this thing happening over here, and you've got this thing happening over here, and you have the convenient character that makes it, oh, I have to go help them because it's my brother or whatever. But yeah, it really strikes me so far to be an alien story that doesn't have to be an alien story. Is you don't need the xenomorphs for this to be this movie. Maybe it's going to tell us some of, but I thought we'd already kind of gotten the backstory behind the original franchise android characters. It's like, oh, well, the guy walks in and he looks like that. The original android from the original Alien movie, he looks like that because that's what his creator looked like. It was the same story that they borrowed for Data with Professor Noonien Soong when you got to Star Trek: The Next Generation, who I'm assuming just borrowed that from Alien.
Yeah, like you're right. It's like they wanted to tell this interesting story with it. Again, booting up a consciousness into an android, especially that of a child, is very interesting because they even tackled the idea that the kids aren't used to suddenly being in an adult body.
Yes.
Like, well, the robot bodies don't age, so that's why we made you adult bodies, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with it. And it's like, that's a great idea for a sci-fi show with a unique concept, but it's like you're pairing it with the Weyland-Yutani Xenomorph stuff because, we need to have everything tagged with a franchise these days.
Yes.
And to get people watching it. And it's like, I don't know. That kind of feels like what it is so far.
I mean, if Disney had, put this out and called this show and just done that plot and called it Peter Pan, damn it, I'd watch it. And it would make sense. Is you just know this is, here, you got to have a franchise, though. Let's call it Peter Pan, and we're putting kids in. Okay, maybe Hulu would have to put that out because Disney wouldn't touch that shit in a 10-foot pole.
I don't know. I've been getting notifications about all sorts of not Disney-friendly stuff dropping on Disney Plus now that they've made the announcement that Hulu will be absorbed by Disney Plus, which I think is a mistake. Because Hulu, like everybody like Bob Iger has trained everybody to associate Disney Plus with family-friendly kids stuff in the United States, and you're just going to make Hulu another tab on there? It's like, no, that's not. Well,
you're also making ESPN another tab on there.
Yeah, that's like
it doesn't fit. Why didn't you just put Hulu and ESPN together and put them over here and leave Disney Plus as your family-friendly and only family-friendly content?
Well, one is merging the services means they can have less employees. It's less of a headache to have the separate servers. And I think also it's because Disney Plus is not doing well because, it worked really well during lockdown and their subscriber numbers were way up. But even today, 6 years almost since Disney Plus launched, they still don't have anywhere near the amount of premium content coming out every week that all of their competitors have, like Netflix and Apple TV even, or HBO Max. They always have new stuff coming out, and Disney Plus has not been able to compete in that department. So people are canceling it, and I think that's why all of the formerly Disney Plus exclusive shows like all the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars shows have been being put out on Blu-ray and 4K because they're trying to cash in on the market of people who have not subscribed.
Well, I think here's the whole thing is
interesting.
I don't like the streaming model. I don't love it. It's because I watch less programming because I spend more time finding programming to watch. You're just click going through. They don't market it necessarily well on what's new, where's there. commercials of this or that. Is I'm just scrolling more than watching. How about, again, I've heard this said many times on the social media, let's just combine all of the apps into one app, and where you can go through all the streaming services and call it, I don't know, cable.
It's ultimately what it's become, but more fragmented, so it's more irritating.
Right. Is you can't, you've got to figure out where I can watch this or that, or where it is, and then the fact that it's on 2 or 3 different ones, and then, oh well, you can get that on Prime. Oh wait, no, that's Prime Stars, so you don't actually pay for that. You have to pay more for having the stars. Like,
yeah, it's a sub channel within a streaming service, which is basically how old channels kind of ended up being. You'd have things like grouped on a program guide or TV guide, wouldn't you?
yeah.
And you could scroll down and kind of pick the.
Well, you had all the ones
type of thing.
owned by Warner Discovery, which is Discovery Channel and the Travel Channel or the whatever channel or this. Great, fine, whatever. I don't know. Just program a program guide. This is going to be on at this time, and when that happened, I watched more of it. But that's I guess neither here nor there. It's just it's one of the things.
Yeah, so Alien Earth, there's still plenty of stuff to dive into. We actually surprisingly didn't spoil that much of actually talking
How many
about it. But
how many episodes are there scheduled to be? I don't even know.
8.
I was going to ask that.
8.
8.
Okay.
The traditional kind of streaming format. Yeah.
Seems to have gone that way.
That one was, I think, well advertised on the streaming, and that's what brought me to it. Is I'd get the big banners for Alien Earth across the top of my Fire Stick, whatever, when the home screen. Oh, there. Oh, there. Things that have advertised and done well is that way. I went and finally succumbed to. We talked about this a couple times before. Is I ordered my free trial of Apple TV to see the new Jason Momoa movie, which I haven't got to sit down yet, because that's going to be a sit down and watch, because it's all the subtitles.
Chief of War.
Yeah. And it's like, I really want to watch that. Of course, having Apple TV now, I've been sucked into now watching Ted Lasso from the beginning.
Another one I would advise if you got Apple TV is Severance.
I have heard that very much. I think Mike recommends that highly. I have not started that yet because, like I said, I got sucked into watching something that I knew enough about already, that I've seen on TikTok clips and social media here and there. It's Ted Lasso's been around long enough that I knew I could just turn it on and I could actually see the show, which I haven't seen in its entirety before, and just watch and pick up more. Something like Severance that I'm completely new to and unfamiliar with, or something like King of War, is like, I'm going to have to sit down so I can digest that and basically do it when my family's not running in and out and going, oh, what's this? What's going on? Who's the thing? What's the thing with the thing?
Yeah, Severance is definitely a kind of much slower paced, thoughtful mystery type show. I mean, it's been out for a while, but I don't want to have anything ruined by your experience of it, and it's worth experiencing freshly rather than knowing too much about it. But it's because of the style and the ambience of the TV series, it's something that you have to have absolute full attention on, have absolutely no distractions, sit with it. Once you've watched an episode, sure, you could kind of binge watch it, but I think it also it's rewarding to take time a little bit and just kind of process what's happened. It's a different feeling to a lot of TV shows now, I would say. So it's worth kind of poring over in that sense.
Well, and I think Alien Earth is not that and should be that, because I've been able to watch that with all sorts of distractions and people coming in and out doing whatever. Like literally, our main TV in our living room sits next to our main entrance door. So if they're not people sitting there watching with you, if everyone in the household, if they're like, oh, I'm going to be, oh, I'm taking the dogs out, oh, I'm doing the thing. If they're not invested in the show with you, that's why we try and sit down and have family screen time or whatever together. We all have to agree on something, because otherwise the other people are just making your experience chaos. But yeah, nobody else is watching Alien Earth with me, and I can still follow and still move along. And it's just like you catch a little bit of it here and a little bit of it there, and it's like, yeah, that.
I see.
And I think it's weird and funny because because it is an Alien franchise, because it's branded that way, and my wife does not like the Alien movies at all. Even though right now she's sitting down and she's never seen Justified with Timothy Oliphant, it won't watch this.
Oh, okay.
Odd choices, you know.
No, just because you like an actor and one thing doesn't mean you're going to be interested in seeing everything they do.
See, I'm a different person. Just because I like an actor, I will sit down and give a chance to everything that they do. Is I tend to go ahead and it's like, oh, there's a Sean Connery movie on, damn straight. You know, is you know, even watch Sean Connery playing inexplicably an Egyptian Spaniard with the Scottish accent in Highlander.
Yeah, a little bit of a reach. I think it is interesting. I think sometimes the actor power can pull you into wanting to watch something, but it does seem like in terms of big movies and blockbusters and the box office, that's a declining thing. That the star power of a single person doesn't seem to draw in the audiences that maybe they did in the early 2000s or in the 90s. The film scene appears to be quite different. The landscape's changed, and now it's often, you know, a big director is part of the promotion, or from the people who gave you this comes this new trailer, and that's almost the hook that marketers seem to think will draw you into watching or being anticipating something that's going to come out soon, whether it's TV or film. But yeah, it is, I think, a cultural shift that's happened in the decline of the movie star in a way, and the less brand appeal they might have than they might have done in a kind of previous era.
Well, and I think here's another topic that we can put in the back of our minds for again is how long movie stars go on at this point, and how late. And like Hollywood always talked about at a certain point that, you know, by the time you were 35, 45, 50 is your career is toast and you're done. Is Liam Neeson just starred in Lethal Weapon at how old is that man at this point? You know,
oh yeah, the Naked Gun. Yeah.
Is Harrison is again still starring in whatever vehicle here and there is Indiana Jones, and you know, moving to streaming and shrinking or whatever is still a draw for those at their age. I don't know. I still can't get her to watch because of the subtitles. The new Momoa movie. It's like, you know, even though the large part of the movie is Momoa's ass.
Well, it's also a 9-episode series, not a movie.
Oh, okay.
And it runs through September 19th, I think. So yeah, that'll be. I'm gonna probably. I'll probably watch it weekly once I get back on my radar. Let's get back from a trip, but yeah.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that. I haven't had a chance to get into it enough yet. So it's like, oh, okay.
Is it an original property or is it based on some existing material?
Original? But I think it's it's historical. Is it for the basis of what the show's about? Let me see. I got this pulled up here. It begins at the end of the 18th century. 4 major kingdoms in the Hawaiian Islands in a state of war. So it's going over that whole history. And he's a warrior chief of Kauai. Jason Momoa plays a warrior chief of Kauai.
Okay. Tamora Morrison's in that as well.
And rebels against the unification of Hawaii that took place from 1782 to 1810 under Kamehameha I. So, yeah. That's it. I remember hearing about a lot of this history and going to some of the battlefields when last time I was in Hawaii 8 years ago on a tour. It was really interesting. But there's a lot of history there. So that would be a really great show to see, especially. And I love that they're doing it in the native language too, adding to the authenticity of it.
I was going to say that's really appealing to me as well. That there's that kind of level of dedication and hopefully authenticity, like you say.
Right. That's the reason why you have to sit down and really watch that when you can digest and sit there and be prepared to read subtitles. It's like I can't have that on and then look away or do something and nope.
Focus. Blinkers on.
Gonna lose the whole thing. And I don't have a problem with that. News that flashed over here from one of my Disney boards is Fantastic Four First Steps has hit the 490 million mark.
Yeah, I did mention that. Yeah, not great with its when you consider the budget was over 200 and whatever the marketing was. So
it didn't look like a two. I think it looked great, but I don't know.
Exactly. That's like I said, it's the creative
was CG. There was not a moment in that film. There might have been 2 shots where there wasn't CG.
Yeah, it's what I call, again, the stupid money being thrown at the creative budget.
I think throw it at the production budget where there's actually physical things being done and made and they're actual, tradespeople with that craft and skill to make things. I'm even wondering now whether those costumes were at all real or were they just CG overlays on characters wearing gray mocap suits.
Well, I know that Ralph Ineson, who played Galactus, was in a real costume that they had on set, which was pretty cool. So I'm guessing the Fantastic Four probably had. I mean, the only one who wouldn't in that case for sure would be Thing, because obviously the actor is not that big with a huge suit and all that. But the others, I take it, were probably in a real suit. I mean, especially since they put Galactus in a real costume.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Well, if that, I still find that hard to believe that that's like a $220 million, what? 75 million of that is Pedro Pascal's payment.
Well, that's the thing I wonder, because they don't tell. You have a lot of cast members, but it's like how much of the money went to the cast? Oppenheimer is a period piece of people just sitting around talking for the most part. Cost $100 million. But I tell you right now that they didn't pay Robert Downey Jr. his $75 million Marvel fee to be in that movie. No way.
Yeah.
So it's like, where did most of the money go? I'm not really sure, but
Yeah, but I mean, this wasn't an art film like that. I mean, I can see Downey Jr. taking less to be in Oppenheimer because it's a project you want to work on and be an art, whatever. Is like, no, this was Pedro. His daddy got to get paid.
He's been in enough projects. I think he's been getting paid quite a lot lately.
No, I think he is. But I mean, he's like, if I'm going to do that, and I think if I were Pedro, I would be commanding more because I'm doing 3 things at the same time. It's like, look, I haven't had a break in the last 3 years. So you want me to do this, I'll do it. But bump those numbers up a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be wanting to take time off. Or maybe he's just got a great schedule and agent and team, and so it's very fixed in his routine that he can do these projects simultaneously. That could be part of it, and that's kind of how he seems to stay relatively fresh and do these junkets and media moments as well, while being ubiquitously in mid-budget and gigantic big-budget films and premium prestige TV.
Yeah.
I do think Pedro Pascal's performance felt quite muted, but that I think comes down to the writing of Mr. Fantastic in the film. And
agreed,
that
because
was
he could
a bit
have
disappointing.
been over the top comic booky, Mr. Fantastic. Because you've seen his character in Wonder Woman 84. It's like, he could have been over the top. But he was not. But again,
and I'm glad about that.
What's that?
And I am glad about that we didn't get too wacky and comical. If you had that as a single member of the Fantastic Four, it would really ruin the dynamic with the other three.
Yeah, but Mr. Fantastic, the movies have made him more that, right? Is the first movies took him and made him a very more serious. He was all about finding a cure for Ben. It's just very stress. It's very little of the hee, having fun with it kind of thing. And I guess it's just the plots of the movies that they've chosen that have made him serious. Is they're not showing them on little minor missions or something. We only get to see it in these blockbuster films. It's like, oh, it's the end of the world is happening, is not whatever else.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with the Thing's character in terms of any character depth in this movie. They implied that, he's got a crush on the Natasha Lyonne character, but that didn't really go anywhere. Because in the comics, he uses humor and sarcasm to mask the fact that he's really depressed. And it's like, but they went another direction. And again, always having world-ending stakes is not that interesting. It's like you need higher personal stakes to really. And they tried to do that with the kid, but it's like I feel like that you should be having a fun. Like they had John Malkovich as Red Ghost, who got cut from the movie because they wanted to shorten the runtime and save money on visual effects. And it's like I feel like a movie with Mole Man and Red Ghost would have been a much more exciting, fun Fantastic Four film than this one. But I digress.
The Fantastic Four should be the height of comic booky funny, and they did that with the visuals. They really did. But that's what the Fantastic Four was. It was the 60s. It was fun. It was outrageous. It was just whatever, little trope of the day is the Fantastic Four stops fighting crime to go boogie in the disco or something. I mean, that's probably literally that happened.
Yeah, so, I think it was a definite angle on the Fantastic Four that felt quite grounded because it wasn't comic-y and wacky and very overtly colorful. The palette was quite muted. I think that made it feel a lot more serious than it had to be until at least you get the introduction of Galactus and the kind of world-ending stakes, which does get tiring because you've just seen it so many times. A city gets completely destroyed. There's a apocalyptic level extinction event almost happening, and our heroes have to prevent it. But yeah, and I do agree with the power scaling of a cosmic monstrous force like Galactus was very reduced to make it a more balanced potential villain for these guys, which was a slightly strange decision as well. I don't think that really fitted, but at least it was quite a standalone film. It didn't require you to have done lots of extra reading or lore to follow it. The prologue, the introduction of the backstory felt organic and believable, and everybody looked like they were committed to their roles and a part of this story, even if it wasn't as kind of light and candid and fun as it could have been.
I think that's probably a really good way to look at it, and that's something that may have made it more enjoyable to a lot of people than what the MCU has become. That you can't enjoy an MCU movie unless you've seen at least a half a dozen other films.
Yeah, but not having to see all that for Fantastic Four still didn't help its box office very much. Because they're coming off of, people just not being as interested anymore because they've lost the plot.
Well, yes, they've lost the plot, they've lost the thing. I don't know that summer movies did super well. We'll do this later. We don't need to get into this.
We're already going well over, so we probably should wrap this up.
Yes,
we've covered all our topics.
So many other topics that we've covered. What we're going to talk about this time, we've explored many things that we may get to in the future. So next week is a fifth Sunday of August. So there will not be a regular show. However, our friends at the Jedi Archives are going to drop a special unboxing. So tune in at their regular time at 1 p.m. Eastern, and they will have a little something for you. But otherwise, enjoy your next fifth Sunday. Enjoy our week's worth of content. We do have a new Clone Wars Revisited. At least Kat and I will be there on the Tuesday night Zoom. Come and ask some of your questions if you have any of anything that we've covered, and all sorts of other things. Just join in for general Star Wars. And then Wednesday this week, we have the Nerf Herders who are going off Star Wars topic, and they will be discussing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, is the Nerf Herders, like, I love the fact that they just kind of do what they do, and talk about all sorts of fandoms and things. And that can be controversial if Jeff pops in, because Jeff and the Harry Potter, not really so much. So join us for our program. Oh, and then join us if you can for the Thursday night watch along this week. We're doing Star Wars and Other Properties, and the watch along crew, we're going to have special guest Mark Von Olen, because we are watching Pinky and the Brain. Pinky and the Brain did a very it's hard to describe. As I've watched the episode, it's a go at the Hollywood system, the kind of the classic Hollywood system, because the Warner Brothers are, of course, from classic Hollywood. And I know, Kat, I see you. Oh, join us this week for our programming. And until then, thanks everyone for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you all.